So can you talk about the ethical dilemma, or can we not talk about that?
Yeah, I think so. There was a client, it was a bank. They, for years, had forced red team events on us, around the kind of company. And, always, as soon as they do it, they turn the alerts to 11 and everyone's scouring logs. And, oh, look, we found you. I went through when I was tasked to do that client and it said pen test, not red team. So we're doing a pen test. And I may have spent some extra time finding a couple extra ways to get to DA, but totally dominated the network. Found, pages of findings. And then we were in meetings for months after that, arguing with their C-suite, because they wanted to downgrade every finding, with the aspect of, oh, well, we caught you. It's like, what? Wasn't being quiet. I trying to find all the things, and eventually, it wasn't my name on the report, and the senior, the partner of the group, he was the one who put his name on it and ultimately took responsibility for downgrading them, in order to keep a client. I get it from a business aspect, but you're not helping them.
Yeah, yeah, that's definitely an ethical dilemma for sure. Like, I have heard stories of, clients wanting to downgrade findings, or they'll argue with the
Yeah,
finding, and you either got to stick with your guns, or you got to, maybe lower and keep the business, because if ultimately, if the client's not happy, then the repeat business,
right.
probably is going to happen. So it's definitely an ethical dilemma for sure. And if you downgrade the findings, then so it's like, like you said, you're not helping them as much, and that's not good. Obviously,
Yeah,
that's we're here to fix problems and security. So I can definitely see that.
yeah. I didn't change it. I let the manager do that because I wasn't going to have that in the commit history under my name.
Yeah. So I guess was the root of the problem, like they thought it was a red team engagement, but you guys thought it was a pen test or something? They didn't
Well,
know,
the
like, they were just doing
engagement
red.
letter, yeah, I did read that it was a pen test. So eventually we did get to, tell them, because usually in the past, they would, as soon as they would see something, they would just, okay, you're off the network, and then it's kind of a waste because no one's getting any benefit from it. And, you know, we're not there to steal the credit cards. We're there to find your problems. And I think that bank prided itself a little bit on the fact that they always did, they used us for like a couple of years and then always caught us, and it's like, well, we have a week. Attackers have months and years to sit on this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Th- that's what makes yeah, especially if you're on a pen test, like, you're not supposed to be sneaky at all. Like, I'm a pen tester. I don't
no,
do. My company's just now spinning up red teaming, and hopefully I can do some red teaming in the future. That's my goal, anyways. But I haven't been on a single red team engagement. I don't have that skill set yet because I'm still pretty early in my pen testing
yeah,
career. And yeah, when you do a pen test, like, I'm not trying to be stealthy at all.
yeah,
Like, I'm just trying to find as many things as I can, and I'm throwing everything I can at this thing because my goal is to just see where your vulnerabilities are. I'm not
yeah,
trying to be, emulate a threat actor here.
right, yeah. Let them get their money's worth. Find as much as you can.
Yeah, and then I've heard stories from, so I read the Tribe of Hackers Red Team. Have you read that book?
No, no, I have.
It's a pretty good book. But a lot, like, a common theme that I saw in there, or one of the questions actually that's asked to everybody in that book, because basically in that book, the author asks, like, a bunch of pen testers and red teamers the same set of questions, but everyone gives you a different answer because
Mhm.
they're all different people, right? And one of the questions is, like, have you ever turned down a client or a customer for a red team? And one of the common things is, like, yeah, have turned down a customer for a red team engagement because they just weren't simply ready for a red team engagement. They needed a regular pen test, and in some cases they needed to downgrade it to, like, a traditional vulnerability assessment. So
Yeah,
a lot of companies out there, they want to be secure, but they don't know the differences between us. So it's part of our
right.
job to, like, educate them on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thanks for sharing that story, because yeah, that's definitely a thing that you run into. I've definitely heard stories, and I got a couple people on my team that's told me some stuff like that about, clients arguing findings. And I'm actually I got a wrap up call tomorrow, and I am prepared to, for them to argue some of my findings. So
Yeah.
I was given a warning, like, hey, just so you know, they might argue the findings. So we did a pen test for them last year. I was like, oh, all right, well, let me get ready for defend my findings here.
Yeah, yeah, you'll get a You get plenty of those in consulting, usually at least one a quarter.
All right, so getting into pen testing. So you said the GPEN helped you break into pen testing,
Mhm.
but I would like to know, like, did certs like the OSCP, OSEP, and the GPEN, did it prepare you for real world pen testing and ethical hacking on the job?
Yeah, so I originally tried the OSCP back in 2019 when I was on the old test. Extremely green to pen testing, and I got into a bad spot where I couldn't really study very much. I was, between work and traveling, I was gone 12 hours a day during my 90 days. Like I remember the month prior to it, one of the chiefs on the team said, "Oh, you should go do that. You'd enjoy it." I didn't even know what enumerate meant, and he was telling me to take the OSCP, and boy, did I get destroyed. Um, yeah, so the GPEN was great. It was structured. It was done very well. I took advantage of it because of the Army's credentialing assistance money at the time, so I got it paid for through that. The OSCP, especially now that they've added the Active Directory stuff into it, if you can get a workplace to pay for it, it's a fantastic cert. This last time I took it, because of I had a bit more experience and a bit more on the job training, I guess. I had 2 exam attempts and went and just took one on a Friday night at 11 o'clock at night because I was like, I got 2 exam attempts. Let's just see how we do. I didn't study or and then within a couple of hours I had Active Directory pound and 2 boxes pound, and I think I had one or two left. It was like, oh crap, I didn't even get through the material. um,
Nice. Wow.
and I'm kind of glad that the buffer overflow is still there, but it's not necessarily part of it. It's good to know. It's good to understand how it works, but I haven't written any buffer overflow since, maybe not besides like a CTF or something, But yes, CTFs are great. I love doing certs. I think they're fun, like, especially the structured ones. It's always the OSCP, especially that was a open experience. That one was rough. A lot of C# shell code in that one, and a lot of getting back to the VBS days. So OSCP is a great one to start. It gives you kind of the breadth of everything. A little bit of web apps, a little bit of network. Kind of dabble and see what you enjoy doing. SANS I know is out of reach for a lot of people because I would never pay for it. Only work does. CRTO is on my list. I want to knock that one out eventually. That's a good one. It's relatively inexpensive. I know I haven't taken it, but I know people say the PMPT. I know it doesn't hold the same value as like OSCP, but they said the training wise, it's pretty good for beginners.
Yeah, I've heard that as well. I know a few people that's gotten it. Some people that's been on the podcast have that cert,
Mhm.
and I haven't heard anybody say anything negative about it.